All right, here's another compositions of functions example. We've got a couple things going on in this problem. First, we want to address, does the order matter? You know, if I do g of x plugged into f, is that the same as f of x plugged into g? So we're going to explore that. And so I've got two examples here. It's the same two functions. F of x is a rational function, g of x also a rational function. Exact same two functions here. We're just going to do a different order. So we're going to do f of g of x, and then we're going to do g of f of x. And we're going to see how those compare. Also, a reason I really like this example is because we've got some rational functions. Remember our previous lesson, we explored complex fractions. We reviewed how to simplify those. So we're going to apply that here. That's one reason I put that lesson in there. So let's go and do f of g of x. So I'm going to take g of x and I'm going to plug it in everywhere that there's an x. So f of g of x. So I have 2 plus, my x will be replaced by 1 over x. And that's all over, so my x on the bottom also replaced by 1 over x. So there's our composition, but notice that's a complex fraction. That's kind of ugly. We've got fractions within fractions. So let's just simplify that. So for this one, the common denominator is an x. A couple ways you could do this, but I'm going to multiply this whole thing by basically x over x, right? And I'll do x over 1 just to help us picture what's going on. So if I do that, I'll get 2 times x. I'll just come down here below. 2 times x plus x over x. And I'll go ahead and write that. X over x all over. Now here I get x times 1 over x, so that's also x over x minus 3x. And notice what happens. 2x, x over x is 1. And you do a few of these. You could probably not have to do that step, but I'm trying to illustrate this and hope it makes sense for you. And then this would be 1 minus 3x. Okay, so there's our first composition. Now let's do the opposite direction. Let's do g of f of x and see if it makes any difference. So now we're going to take this entire thing and plug it in for x right there. So we only have to do one substitution. So g of f of x is equal to 1 over this whole thing, 2 plus x over x minus 3. Now I'm dividing by a fraction. That's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So let's just set that up. So that'd be 1 times, then I can flip this bottom one, x minus 3 over 2 plus x. Of course, 1 times that's not going to change anything. So x minus 3 over 2 plus x. So that one's a little quicker. Not much to simplify there. Notice they are different. That's what we will see most of the time. So in general, f of g of x is not the same as g of f of x. The order does matter. In our next lesson, we're actually going to see some special cases where they are equal, but we'll get more into that.